All right. And we are live, fresh on that Thursday. Live campfire, a little different, a little figure we come together, do something special. Obviously, E is going away, and we would like to sneak something in, but it's the last word with Lord Cognito, Ebontis, and Ty Guy Travis. We absolutely love that we're able to do this. So first, what's going on with you, E? I'm happy that I was able to. I didn't think I'd be able to podcast with you. I thought it was going to be via Travis.
I'm literally getting ready to set an alarm for like 2:30 in the morning. And as a normal human being, not a vampire like you, this is going to be, I wake up early anyway. Like I'm used to setting alarms at 4:30, 4:50, because I go teach classes at like 5:30 in the morning. Right. 2:30 is just a whole different level of bad. So I have an early departure for a flight. COVID test is done. Got the negative result there. Mostly done with packing, getting all that stuff kind of set up and everything. But like what I will tell you, traveling right now internationally is a bit of a hassle.
Yeah,
because there's an app for the country. You got to fill that stuff out there. You got to scan in your immigration form. You got to get that QR code. You scan that into a different app that you got to put in for the airline that you're flying through. Put your information in there. Scan in your COVID test. Take your picture of your passport. Take your picture of this. And I'm just like, anybody need anything else? I think you all have my life story by now. So I've been prepping for travel since Tuesday. But it is, if we can just make it where we're going, I'm good. Our connection is in Miami, which has me worried, because it's not the quietest airport, nor is, Florida the best place right now. It's an hour and 12 minutes. Currently, our gates are not that far apart, but that stuff moves all throughout the day until you're basically like an hour away. So cross my fingers that the gate actually stays there, because it's actually a pretty good connection right now. But yeah, I'm just basically prepping to fly, but we got two things major to talk about. The TWAB we knew was going to be meaty, and then yesterday it just exploded. So we have to talk about that as well. Before we get into that stuff, though, Travis, man, got you on here in the middle of the day. Don't let anybody at work know.
Yeah.
But, secret sauce.
Yeah, it's great, man.
How you doing, man?
Look what's happened to this podcast. We're on a Thursday. We're on YouTube. I'm here.
Yeah.
We got Crucible maps announced. I mean, just like Fireteam Chat, I'm gonna be known for in your guys' community for being the harbinger of when the show really went downhill. I'll be like, man, when that guy Travis we got on YouTube,
that was it.
Thursday,
that was the beginning of the end. So. Beginning of the end, really.
Yeah, you guys have like 18 months left of the show, and then that's all she wrote. So
that's it.
But no,
that's a pretty good run. We could at least make it to 200 at that point.
Yeah,
it's true.
We got to get to 301, though.
301.
Yeah. Well, we have to get to 301 on Fireteam Chat.
Yeah. Well, you guys will probably do that on about August 4th or whenever. I'm sure you guys, or 27th
or something.
27th, you'll probably do it that Friday.
There.
So, well, yeah. Cog, what have you been up to, man?
Chilling, man. I played a bit of Destiny. I'm actually finishing. I'm actually going to get my Splicer title. I didn't even realize how close I was to it. Like, just not really playing sporadically. You know what it is? I was doing a lot of farming for Splicer weapons. I really like the Splicer weapons. I'm a huge fan of Ignition Code, huge fan of Grid Skipper. It's becoming one of my PvE joints. I'm liking I love the heating up perk with, right now I'm using multi-kill clip. I have a multi-kill clip frenzy option, because of the expunge farm where you get the two thing. Nice. So what I was realizing, I was getting a lot of the challenges done. So now I just got to finish the board. I got 2 more spots at the bottom for the 500 decrypted. And then dude, I will have the title. I'm like, I can't believe I'm actually going to have a title. And I played very, very casually. So
yeah, it's like I've been pretty light on it as well. And I had to go get like 4 champions and expunges, and mine was the same thing. It was a couple boxes to check, but it was a pretty natural title. It's not like Fate Breaker, not even close. I mean, probably nowhere near even anything on that one, but no, the Splicer title definitely is not too bad. I have been playing Grime this week. It's a little indie kind of 2D Souls-like. And then off stream, I played a little bit of Eldest Souls, which I can't remember who said that. I think Paul did, because I was listening to DCP and they were talking about it. Eldest Souls is like the epitome of SEO.
Yes.
Because they have Eldest for Elden Ring, Souls is in there, and they just like, they combine all the words. So if you look up what you're bound to trip over this game, That cracked me up when Tassie said that. I forget where he said it though. And it's a fun little, basically, it's a kind of top-down boss rush, but it's got a few. It was kind of cool, just little like not quite pixel art, but it was a fun little game. Just in this little break, I finished Mass Effect 2, which that was the big one. So 2 is done.
Better than 1, or?
Oh, is this the question? I got to finish all 3 before I really give my vote.
But is it better than 1?
Is it better than
just
1?
Doing this too?
Just doing based on what you played. I mean, you may like 1 better. Don't feel pressure.
No, I mean,
if you like 1 better, you stand on your square and say, you know what, you guys, I enjoyed 1 better.
It was very interesting to go through Mass Effect 2 being as so much of, I did every loyalty mission, every recruitment. And then you get to what this thing that you kind of get introduced to in the beginning, and you're like, okay, how many more steps are going to be after that? That was it. Like, you had the cool moment when you get there, but so much of it was building these characters. Now, did I like learning about the characters? Some were better than others, but some of the missions were really cool that you got to learn about. Some of them weren't as much. I didn't do as much of the DLC, but I've done some. Question. Yeah.
So did you do you did Layer of the Shadow Broker?
I did Shadow Broker. Yes, I did that one. Liara's hanging out there now. So
okay, cool. Question in reference to squad mates. You said you liked a lot of the stories, like the personal story. Like,
yeah, I mean, each the loyal.
Give me top 3 squad mates that you liked. First, let's start with the favorite. Who was your in Mass Effect 2? Who was your favorite squad mate that you felt that you had to have every mission? Like you really enjoyed playing with that character or story.
I got them, but Thane was so unique.
My man,
Thane was really unique. I just because the photographic memory, how it would relive his things, the stuff that he went through. Obviously, having to like deal with his kid, but didn't have to actually kill him. All that. So it was like. I went full Paragon, by the way, in case anybody's wondering how my playthrough went. It was full Paragon. Romance Liara and Miranda, I think.
Player.
Yeah. It's like, I'm setting it up. I'm like, well, this one happened, and it was because of, in Mass Effect 1, I did Romance Liara. And then I'm going through this one, and it was like just Miranda was a kind of a very obvious, but really the only one that ended up playing out, I think. Trying to think of, so... Thane was cool. Garrus is always cool. Garrus is just like a legit kind of chill dude, kind of a bit of a badass, but somewhat subdued in his own little way. He's just kind of a cool guy to have with you. Grunt was actually a surprise. I didn't expect.
Really? First Grunt? Okay.
No, I mean, Grunt was just a surprise to experience like his story, and then when you went to visit like Rex, and you got to see him again, and then got a little more background of the whole culture behind all of, and that was what was like. That's what it's like. Are these games going to stand out as much to me playing them later on? Probably not as much for you guys because I didn't play them in the moment when they were kind of mind blowing at the time. And that's one of those things for me playing it later on. They're cool, but I've played also Ghost of Tsushima, God of War has blown me away. Like certain things like that have set a bar
years ago.
So it's like if you play them in context, then I probably have to go look up, be like, what came out during this time would give me better context to know how some of these would feel. But it like the way you got. And it all depends on how much you want to talk to these people. There's a lot of dialogue in these games.
If you keep going back and you keep engaging.
If you don't get into the dialogue, you're probably going to miss a lot. But the way when I got done, because I went through every side mission. I didn't do all the expansions or the DLCs. I left Firewalker. I left Arrival, which is probably fine, I heard.
You speed run through this.
No, I did literally every loyalty mission. All of them.
ME2 is not long.
ME2 is not long.
Neither is ME1, actually. They're both kind of quick. ME3 surprisingly is the one that I think takes the longest to get through.
But yeah, it's like for me it was like Thane was a cool standout. Samara was kind of surprising actually because of
the Justicar.
Yeah, the Justicar, the like way they felt about her on the Asari world, which I can't remember the name of. But also
tell me more about the Justicars. I'd like to learn more about you. I should go.
Learn about the classic Shepard line.
Oh, God, yeah. And it's like his dialogue got a little better in this one. He does feel kind of like canned at times because you're like trying to learn more here and there. Mike, honest question will be is if I actually like 3 more than all of them. I will be wondering if that's how it
I think you will.
I think you will. The consensus seems to be those new to the series for the first time now playing them in the Legendary Edition in succession like 3. the most. And I could understand it. I could totally understand it.
Yeah, I was like, I mean, you get used to, it's not quite the same. Here's a box room. Here, it's not the same rooms copied over, so you are kind of traversing, but it's like, here's another thing of cover that you're going to go through. And I still went infiltrator, so I did a lot of sniping. I basically clicked a bunch of heads. But it was cool to see. Jack was another story, like having her with you just to blow stuff. So I was like, there are some really cool characters in this world, but it was like, spend this time, do like 2 or 3 missions with this one character. Then you turn and focus on the next one. You turn and focus on the next one. We went through the Avengers Assemble, but now it's like, now I want to like play 3 and spend time with them because I just got to know everybody.
You just got to know everybody.
And then you're like, okay, and we're kind of done. And it was like, it was almost an abrupt ending because I was honestly wondering this. Like, I feel like you could start, go find the minimum number of crew members and then try and finish. And if you found enough that might work, you might get through it. You probably would die. I don't know. But
did everyone survive on your suicide
everybody
mission
did survive. Yes.
Nice.
So I had all the ship upgrades. I figured out that was a thing. I was playing with chat, so they kind of guided me to a couple of the crew choices in the final situation. Yeah, it was nice. Like, it was cool. It was definitely a legitimate, like, putting everybody together. That mission was definitely like hands down over one. There was nothing in one that compared to specifically like the ending mission of that one. I mean, that's
a big distinction that you said. Okay.
So it's like, to me, but on the others, like for mission wise, but I will say narratively though, like the discussion with Sovereign hit me still almost harder than most things that happened in 2.
That was powerful.
Because that discussion with Sovereign was like, I finally like understood how grand of a scale we were talking about.
Very chilling conversation.
Yeah, basically like you don't mean squat.
Yeah,
you kind of will squash you like a bug is what it felt like.
Your race is inevitable. Basically. Sovereign talk is dope. Okay,
yeah, so Sovereign was
There's
cool.
Lots of that in 3. 3 is a really
3
good
you gotta
job
love.
Yeah, and then you got the flash of like, oh. I was like, all right, well, here they come. So that's kind of where it's at. But I mean, it's been a cool journey so far. After putting both of these together, like, there's certain decisions. So, you drive the Mako around before and you're like, oh, I found like, here's the resources on the ground. And I did more driving than I probably should, but I had enough resources. But I was like, and now I'm like moving my mouse around and throwing the probes at the planet and trying to see if I get the little graph to move.
I got it.
And then the DLCs apparently have the Hammerhead, which is the hover Mako. So I mean, there's
not good.
Yeah, so I heard that was actually later because I kept bumping into those. I'm like, you guys told me there was no Mako, and then I'm going through all these things. So it was kind of funny.
DLC.
Yeah, apparently I did more of those than I thought. But I mean, overall, the cast is really cool. I mean, you could sit there and think about each person. I mean, the throwaways, Jacob kind of feels like a throwaway. His mission wasn't bad, but his was mostly okay.
All the humans are boring.
Kind of, kind of.
Like Miranda's was a little bit more.
Miranda's fun if you take Jack on her loyalty mission. You want a good laugh? Jack don't give a hell about it. Like, it's some touching moment. She say real cold-blooded stuff.
Yeah. And then on the other side, though, it's like when you go through and see Tali's mission, you get to see so much about, and I'm never going to get the race right. What is she? Quarian?
Quarian. She's Quarian.
Yeah, there's Quarians, Solarians, Turians. I'm like, why are these so close? But yeah, seeing more about her whole setup that they have and learning more about her. Somebody's like, if you want a really funny time, take the last person that you get.
Take the last first.
And then go do that loyalty mission, just totally blow stuff. I was like, I can only imagine the commentary that would happen in that one. So there's some cool stuff. I mean, it's, for its time, I can imagine, because it's about, 10 years old now?
Yeah, it's age, bro.
Yeah, it would be interesting.
I was in college. That was a long time ago.
Yeah, so, I mean, obviously that was a big one, and it was cool, but it's like, where is it going to sit in my echelon of games? We'll see when maybe the franchise is done. I got to see how 3 goes, but I mean, I did that, took a little break because of vacation, so tried a couple indies and having fun with those. So that was a longer discussion, but I know you guys were curious since 2 giant Mass Effect 2 fans. They're like, oh, he played our game. We must discuss.
Apologies, chat. We just had to ask him.
No.
Just for
I'm a big fan of all the Mass Effect games, but I do agree, that like if you didn't play them in the time, it's kind of weird because I just watched my girlfriend play through all 3 of them, and I was sort of like, these have aged a lot. Like these look like old games, especially ME1, but ME2 as well. ME3 was the one where I was like, okay, I could play through this and not like notice how old it is. But it's they definitely are noticeably aged for sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
So some stuff went down, huh, in this game?
What? There's Destiny stuff
Can we
to
talk
cover?
about Destiny now?
Is it
Can we talk
time?
about Destiny?
Timestamps.
Please.
People, please.
Let's
They're
do
like,
it.
please give me the timestamp so I can skip all your random gaming talk.
Yeah.
I'm here for Destiny only.
3:33 p.m. Eastern.
Do you guys want to start with the Crucible tweet?
Yeah,
That's
let's
the
do
kind
it.
of the big one.
Yes.
Do you
Boy,
want me
do
to?
I, E.
Blackburn.
Do you want me to just read it all and then we can discuss the points you guys want to talk about?
Yeah.
Inject Joseph straight into my veins, E. Do it.
All right. Ahead of the showcase this month, I want to take a little time to talk about Destiny PvP. Everybody's ears perked up. Competitive modes are part of what make this game special. I can't imagine a version of Destiny that doesn't involve getting a sweet new gun and taking it for a spin in the Crucible. This year, the team has spent a lot of our future-facing effort on plussing up the current Crucible experience. You've seen some of this already in stasis balancing, reputation updates, and shifting weapon metas. Next season, you'll continue to see this effort not only changes to 3 peaking, but also is what the team has planned for the revamp of Trials of Osiris. Tune in on the 24th. We've got to keep our foot on the gas when it comes to revitalizing PvP pursuits and keeping gameplay metas fresh. This isn't something we're ever done with, in quotes, but we know we also have room to grow when it comes to new maps and modes. People lost their mind on that sentence alone, I'm sure. The first half of 2021, we've been working on the foundation, but now we're spinning up teams on new maps and modes. We believe in investment, but it is going to take some time before you start seeing results in-game. The ultimate goal here is consistency. If you play PvP, the team wants you to understand that you will be getting new maps and modes every year, and that cadence of those coming feels predictable. But in order to get predictable, we need to open the faucet again. New maps take time to get right, so to open the faucet for Season 16, the team is working on porting 2 vaulted Destiny 2 maps to be compatible with our engine updates. When we upgraded our engine with Beyond Light, it means we had to hand port all of our Destiny 2 maps and modes. So, while it may seem from the outside we're just pushing a button, there's a significant lift from the team to get more of this content back in rotation. After reprised maps in Season 16, Season 17 will come with a brand new map. There are a bunch of new environments in Destiny 2, and we're excited to start bringing them into Crucible. Finally, after those 3 maps are added in rotation in Season 16 and 17, we will be remastering a Destiny 1 map and bringing it to Destiny 2 for the first time in Season 18. All this effort is going to be done in parallel with the team looking to fund the far future with a predictable roadmap of maps in Lightfall and beyond. But maps are just part of the recipe here. We also know we need to support modes. There are 3 main efforts going on behind the scenes here. First, the team is investigating getting Rift in Destiny 2 next year. It's been too long since we've dunked on some Guardians. The Destiny Sandbox has sped up in Destiny 2, so right now the team is validating that the mode still holds up with our new gameplay. Second, the team is working on multiple brand new modes for 2022. We aren't quite ready to spoil these yet, but we're excited to offer new twists and rules to the ways you can make Shaxx proud. Finally, after the dust settles on the Trials update in Season 15, we want to look at what other broad systemic improvements the PvP ecosystem needs. We want to provide something on the scale of this Trials rework to players every year. So this tweet thread has turned into a tweet novel, but I wanted to make sure we shed some light on what's going on behind the scenes here. Overall, we're still very interested in growing the amount of Destiny we make every year. One way to hold me accountable by looking at our careers page. We're looking for environmental artists, gameplay designers, lighting artists, and more to help improve our PvP output. We know you want more Destiny, and we're committed to growing the team that's going to make that possible. It's always risky to talk about what's in the oven, as dates and specifics might change, but it's been a while since we've talked PvP, and we want players to know that we're working on content for those Guardians who like to spend time with Shaxx and the Red Jacks. And I'll be here. I won't be here all week.
I'm just gonna pass this
whoever
over
wants
to
to start
Travis.
between
No,
you
this
two,
has to
because
go
you
to
guys are
Travis
champing
first.
at the bit. I learned that's how you say
Has
it.
to go to Travis first. Like there's no doubt. Like I would be remiss if that's not let the PvP tie guy himself attack this. What's your thoughts, sir?
so happy.
Tears of joy. Tears of joy.
It's what we wanted all this time.
Daddy still loves me.
Yeah, dude, this was great. This is such a surprise. I mean, I think, I'm like ironically pessimistic when I talk about Destiny a lot. I think lots of players are, but we all know that Bungie cares about its players, and Bungie obviously cares about PvP because they've been balancing a lot of their sandbox around the PvP landscape for a really long time. It's just that we didn't get a lot of love in the past almost 2 years, and so it's just really great to hear specifically what their plans are and to get kind of like a little bit of hope. It's going to be 2.5 years before we get a new Crucible map. It will have been 2.5 years, so we've got like at least 6 more months left, which isn't good, but it's finally happening. We know that they're going to be creating new maps and that they're going to open the faucet to creating it regularly, which I think it always should have been part of what we're getting every season and every year in the expansion. So I'm grateful for that. And then new modes, which honestly is like the main thing. Like you've been saying that. We talked about this and last time we had a PvP guy on here. I think it was Ascend or someone. Modes are just what we've been missing for a long time. Rift was great. I don't know why they ever took it out. Give me back my Twilight Garrison, Bungie, so I can get in there and start dashing with the Warlocks. But yeah, I'm very excited about this, obviously, and I think it came at a time where the PvP community desperately needed it, especially since we're not going to get anything PvP focused in this next season, and we're not going to get anything PvP focused really in even the Witch Queen, which the Witch Queen drops and we get one refurbished map out of it. It's going to be, a lot of people probably would think without these statements from Joe that like they really had given it all up, because there's a lot riding on the Witch Queen. And if we see all of the stuff in the PvE getting a huge overhaul and nothing getting put into PvP, obviously that's a pretty bad sign for Crucible. So it's just good to know that he explained exactly what they're facing, right? In terms of having to open that spigot and getting maps running again, which I think we really need. But let's not forget, Beyond Light came out and we got -11 maps or -12 maps or something like that. Correct. Right? So we lost a ton of our maps, and I think if anything, this is probably a reversal of a decision they made at some point in the past to not focus on PvP as much. And I think that was really a intentional choice. They didn't have to take away those maps. They could say it was for the thematic. The fact that they destroyed all those planets or whatever.
Well, I mean, they literally told us now it's all because of the porting time.
Meanwhile, Mercury's there, but whatever, for trials. But okay.
Yeah, exactly. They could say it's for story reasons, but I think we both know that it just isn't the case, right? Like it was just deprioritized, I think. And I think
absolutely
they sort of realized that was a mistake, and now they're working on fixing it. But yeah, man, it's good. I think it helps keep, PvP has always helped keep this game alive when PvE content was taking a lot of time in the oven, and I think it'll continue to do that. This was great, man. This made my week. Thanks, Joe Blackburn. You're awesome.
No doubt.
What about you?
Mixed. Oh, look, I'm happy Daddy's talking. I felt neglected. Listen, man, I'm we've been abused here in this relationship. It wasn't really nice, and look, am I happy Joe came out? Yes. You know what I'm saying? This was important. We needed this. We needed to know that, for all the months and seasons of asking, when are you going to talk about PvP? What is going on? And just the sheer ignoring, just the sheer lack of transparency. So to get this statement was refreshing. I was happy, I'm of two mindsets. The first mindset is they have confirmed subtly when you mention turn the faucet on, that means it was off at one point.
Yeah.
Yep.
You see what I'm saying? So it confirmed to me that they did not, I mean, whether it be, again, I'm not going to be disrespectful. There's a pandemic. We understand they're doing another game. We understand they're independent. I get it. But this was the thing that all PvP mains know. There was no reason why there were no maps, no mention of anything, and it now confirms it. It was not prioritized. We were completely shut off, and they were going to operate that way until now when they're ready to talk about it, right? So that was my little frustration, which I got the confirmation on. As to, the team and holding him accountable, I like that. Yeah, they're going to get, support studio. I mean, not support studios, but they're hiring, right? They're going to get, he said, hold me accountable by look at what we're doing on the careers page. They're going to bring this influx of people in and stuff like that for PvP, the maps and so on. And that's great. We want that. We still got to wait. And I'm trying not to be negative, Nancy, because this is normally Ty Guy's the guy that I'm the super positive, and Ty Guy's and like this is like we got a little bit of opposite. The only thing is I gotta wait and see. I need to see. I've been hurt. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
It's like, yeah, I'm gonna be better in this relationship that you neglected. You gotta prove to me, like, we do not feel loved. When the new expansion comes out, we know it's gonna be a raid, it's gonna be PvE content, it's gonna be this, that, third. What I'm getting from this is that come Witch Queen, we still ain't gonna get a real new map. We're getting like a reprisal, right? We pulling something out the vault, and I don't want to, again, I don't want to be disrespectful, because it's not like he said, it's not, flip a switch and, boom, it works. The old map works or whatever. But I do feel a way that it is it's old, like Destiny haters will rip this apart. Like, oh, hey, brought back that old map again. You know what I'm saying? Like,
For sure.
Like they're going to be like, you guys are paying for content you already had again. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, I mean, again, I get it. I don't want to make this a negative thing, because this is a good thing. But at the end of the day, I still need to see a little more. And I want to see if they, they stick to the cadence, because this is a big part of the game that's neglected. So we'll see. But I'm curious, where you're at, because, again, we knew it. It's just now I got the confirmation. I knew that they had not made anything. There was no priority to anything on PvP. It was completely shut down. Faucet was off. Nobody paid the water bill that month. I get it. That's what it was. But where you at when you read all this stuff? Am I going too hard on them?
No, I mean, it's been a very long time, and there are some things that are very revealing towards the end. I mean, when you talk about one way to hold me accountable by looking at a careers page, we're looking for environmental artists, gameplay designers. They're hiring a PvP team. Like, they're trying to build up a PvP team. This stuff's going to take a while. Over the course of basically what I would guess is the next 18 months, we're going to get 3 old maps, depending on how long you've played, and then 1 new one over the course of 18 months. As you said, we lost 11, 12, whatever the number was. So that's still a third of what we lost that we had before Beyond Light kicked off and threw all that stuff away. So, I mean, that alone, this continues to show, like, the Destiny content vaulting, the sunsetting was an idea that they had, but was executed on poorly. And whatever the plan was, as you guys said, was not, not something they either thought was going to be as much of an issue, or just something, as you guys have said, the faucet was off and they just decided to not make it a priority. So when the
question is, why was it off?
That's one thing, we don't know, because when it comes to, like, the studios, obviously the Activision split was a thing. So, I mean, they lost Vicarious Visions, they lost High Moon. Somebody in chat literally mentioned they need studios for help. And it really shows. They are trying to grow this team. We have, like, knowledge that they're going to have, 2.5 times size headquarters that they're going to build or expand upon. They're working on going to be hiring people to obviously fill up that space and do a lot more with. But also, there were some people like Josh Hamrick and other people who left, go make their own. Those were some of the PvP guys. There's theoretically another IP out there. So there's PvP people that have split on both ends, it seems like. So then who was left? Was it the only people who left were the PvE focused people? And then at that point, when you turn around and say, if this is the people we have left, and they're trying to build an engine. I mean, they mentioned porting these things over to the engine is taking them months to do. Now, whatever the priority level that is, we don't know how long that actually takes. Because again, not a developer. I get it. But of course, when it turns around and says, if we get 4 months over the course of the next year, that's a very small number when people have been waiting this long. Like there hasn't been hardly any prep up until this point. It really sounds like they're building PvP from scratch again.
From scratch.
Like the live service team almost feels like they've been limping PvP along. And then now it's like, okay, we're going to build up another Destiny PvP thing because we are probably going to be in this franchise for longer than either we expected or plans. Something happened in that studio. And it basically was like, PvP just like we still gotta tell a story. We gotta do raids. These are things that sell, PvE stories, season pass, all this other stuff. PvP is just, we don't have it. And for some reason, it just was not there. And at this point, they're trying to almost start over. It's really weird to read some of and it's not that I don't like seeing all of this information. I appreciate the transparency because as you can tell, we can read a lot into this stuff. Shout out to Smitty Smith, by the way, for the $2. Shout out the last word is the best word. Appreciate
Smitty.
that.
What's going on? Good to see you.
It's like, I mean, we can get into maps and modes and stuff like that we've been asking but the fact that it sounds like they're almost starting PvP from scratch, is weird. Like after this long, because I mean, how much I know there's a vocal minority, but that vocal minority has been asking for this stuff for a very, very, very long time. And while they're data driven to maybe say that maybe we don't need as much PvP. The big stuff happens. The big money comes from Eververse and seasons and all that stuff. That's going to happen with PvE either way. Like, I don't know what data and everything else, but it's like, this is one of those, I would be curious to see what happened behind the scenes to get to this point. Right. So sorry, that's a very long-winded answer.
Yeah, I feel you both there. To be clear, I think your guys' like mixed kind of take on this is it's like good and it makes sense. My thing is that I didn't feel like I learned anything new about the problem of PvP from this because
correct.
I thought all PvP people kind of just assumed that Bungie clearly wasn't working on and had deprioritized PvP and wasn't making maps and all that stuff. And so I didn't feel like in that regard I learned anything new. It was like, well, yeah, of course. You guys took out 11 maps, never replaced them for over almost 2 years. Like, yeah, obviously you were not caring about PvP for a while. So that part wasn't new to me. What was new to me was the positive aspects, because I was sitting here assuming PvP is never going to be a priority again. Trials, the season of the Worthy with Trials was the last thing that we're going to get, right? Like after that, it's just PvE, and then PvP will just be a side thing where we get breadcrumbs and you get to test out your new weapons there. So I just am happy to hear that it's not going that way and that they are making the reinvestments, because they could have easily not done that. And I don't think it's one of those things. I think Ebontis, you might be onto something there about the split from Activision and that sort of thing being a part of this. It could have been a resources thing, but I think it probably wasn't something where Bungie said in a team meeting, they wrote on a whiteboard somewhere, oh, based on stats or based on our bandwidth, I don't think we're going to have PvP be a thing that we focus on in Destiny. I don't think it was an active decision. I think it was like when you never finish a book or a video game, you get partway through it and you always intend to go back to it, but it just sort of, it sits for a little bit long. And then after a while, you're like, okay, now it's been way too long. And if I wanted to actually finish this thing, I would have to pick up the book and start from the beginning again. I think it was one of those things where they just sort of set the book down and they didn't pick it up for a really long time. And then they left it too long. And after a while, it's sort of like, it's sort of, it then becomes awkward to pick it back up again, because then you're like, all right, do I even remember any of the characters or what was happening in the story? And I think it was probably just something like that, where it was just neglect, right? Like daddy neglected us, Cog. Now he remembered he's got kids on the other side of town that he should visit sometime. So
do kids out of wedlock.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, or his other family.
Matter. It's called Matter. That's the new love interest.
Yeah, I just don't think it's surprising that they hadn't been prioritizing PvP. Like, obviously they hadn't, and they're starting from scratch, so I'm just not surprised by that. What does surprise me is that they're actually going to prioritize PvP, because I kind of just assumed they weren't. I kind of assumed that them saying like, oh yeah, PvP will always be important was just them blowing smoke, and that it was because their model also changed, right? Now they're semi free to play, and I see PvP as sort of being like part of that free part of their model. It's like, oh yeah, you can pay for this premium PvE content, which is the stuff we focus on, and then PvP is something that our free users can do. And, you know, it's not really what we're focused on. I kind of assumed that was the future for Destiny. And this seems like they're saying, no, that's not the case. So, you know, for me, it's all good news, because I had assumed the worst. So maybe my pessimism helped me in this case, right? Cog, you were sitting on the porch hoping that Father would come back someday. I was off living my life going,
you're living your
Dad's
life,
never going to come back, right? So when I saw him come back after all, and he had his cigarettes, we were like, oh, wow, he's actually... I didn't expect to see you.
Yo, shout out to Outstanding. He said, Dad went to the store and 6 years later they bring back 1 million gallons of milk. Listen, man, it's true. I mean, you know, that's a good analogy. You were in that headspace, and for me, I was still like, he said he was gonna do. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was still in that bag. I was very emotional about like what has happened. But you know, again, I can only guess. My only thing is, you know, whether it be matter, you know, I want to shout out the firing range guys. They had a great discussion about it. Mercules especially, you know, when he was talking about it, he literally said what I wanted to say, which is, again, you know, the faucet being back on is the confirmation that it was off. So at the end of the day, you know, I look at it and say, like E said, this is a start over, right? This is literally, we're building it now. Now, I will say positively, I do like the Trials of Osiris, whatever that is, whatever this rework is that they're looking at seriously, you know, I'm liking that. I'm liking that. I think if they mentioned that in the twab, we'll get to that Season15 is also going to mirror like how Zavala and I mean how Shax and the Gambit are right now and the Drifter, that Season15 and Zavala will mirror that structure. So if they mirror that structure, that's going to mean that just through play and levels and ranks, you'll be able to get things, right? So that's going to be interesting to see. You know, like I said, it just sucks that a little bit the wait is going to be long. But for a person that complains about transparency, I'm at least happy. I know, okay, this is the intent now. Now we know what Daddy's going to do when Daddy said he's going to do it. That's where we at now.
Actually, I guess a more apt description, Cog, would be that Dad said he was going to go out to get milk, right? He didn't come back for 6 years. And when he came back, instead of bringing 1 million gallons of milk, he said, I'm back and I'm still going to bring you that milk 6 months from now.
6 months from facts.
Yeah. So
facts.
We're not really getting the reveal we wanted. But my point is just that I couldn't have been less optimistic about PvP's future than I was. So I was at rock bottom, and this was me going, oh, actually, all my assumptions were wrong. They actually are going to build PvP. I just assumed that was never going to happen. So I think my pessimism saved me from a wound here,
from the hurt,
which is nice. Yeah, this is my defense mechanism, is just to assume the worst in all things, right?
I like it. I know where you're going. So, we all internalize pain different. You know what I'm saying?
That's right. Yeah, that's right. I clam up, apparently. I've learned something about myself through all this, Cog.
It's a reflective moment.
Yeah. Anyway, we're done talking about PvP now, I think. But
I did want to ask you guys something.
Sure.
Kind of reading between the lines here from all of this PvP stuff. I mean, we got the stuff for trials. We know the cadence of the maps. We've got, you know, they're trying to rebuild. That's, I mean, you can go as deep on that as you want to. But my question to you guys was the number of seasons that were listed. They list Season 16, which we know is Witch Queen. That's the 2 maps that are coming back from Destiny 2. Season 17 is the one brand new map. Season 18 is the one Destiny 1 map. That's 3 seasons.
Yeah.
Every year has 4 up until now. Do you guys think this is actually them basically saying they're changing their seasonal cadence? Because they don't mention a season. So. They don't mention a season 19. And if they're planning out their year, they probably would, like before Lightfall, because the next line All this effort is going to be done in parallel with the team looking to fund far future with predictable roadmaps in Lightfall and beyond. Season 16, Season 17, Season 18, Lightfall. There's no 19. So I wanted to see if you guys think that's anything, if the change in the seasonal cadence is actually going to be coming. Thoughts?
Trav?
I have no idea, but God, I hope so, dude. I hope that they do 2 seasons a year. Honestly, there should be a spring season and a fall season. And they should focus, the fall season will be their main yearly big annual release, and the spring will be some sort of like refresh, smaller story to keep us interested and serve as a bridge to the next fall expansion. I think that's how they always should have done it. Everything else, like, Age of Triumphs or whatever the heck is, they're talking about
seasonal activities,
all these seasonal events that they repeat. They should just
Solstice
be
and
stuff that
Festival
happens in between. Yeah, Festival of the Lost and the Hero Solstice and whatever the winter event is called.
Dawning.
The Dawning. Yeah, geez, God, there's so many names in Destiny. They should just do all that as like side stuff to keep you busy in between these larger releases. I've always thought that. I think that them trying to do 4 seasons a year makes all the seasonal content seem so thin, and they have to artificially stretch it out over a long period of time. And it's often, disappointing, all these the public event like activities that they've been pumping out. I just haven't really enjoyed it much. I've enjoyed the story element of it, but the actual activities of what you're doing and like Override and all this other, these things, is just, it's very much, it feels like fluff. And I wish that they would, take a break, do 2 big seasons where I could play it all at once. And then, if you don't have any content in the summer and the winter, I'll just play other games, man. It's fine, Bungie. You don't have to do this to yourself. You don't need to do 4 content releases a year. That's crazy. That's crazy to me, 4 content seasons a year. So I want them to do 2. That's always been my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, said it best. I mean, I guess my only thing I'll add is just that, to me, it all comes down to the content that's in the season. Because we could split it up how many times we want to split it up. But if the content's not compelling, if there's, all these gaps. I think the thing I'm struggling right now is because I'm in love with the narrative gaps of a cutoff in mid-season and then no further thing now all the way. We got to wait till epilogue, right? They were kind of, that it still doesn't sit. It's very abrupt to me, It's about the content, because like you said, Trav, like, I'm gonna be real. Like, now that I've, I'm overrided out,
Oh God, so much.
And it's not really challenging. Like, it's to the point you can low key AFK.
For sure,
you can low key. Like,
I mean, when you go from once you go in the portal in,
you could straight AFK.
Yeah.
Like you between the sliding down, you don't got to do that. You can let one person, shoot the thing and go up top. Even with what was Season of the Dawn 6-man activity name now?
Sundial.
Even wasn't there like a hard sundial mode at one point? Yeah, like there was no challenge to it. I think that's why I'm struggling with it. I don't hate it. I just feel like there's no challenge to it. So, I'm kind of burnt out on that. And then obviously this season there was, we didn't really get the, the secret mission or whatever. And we get it. There's not every season is going to have that or stuff like that. But to me, true. Yet. Correct. To me, it ultimately comes down to, if they're going to split it up to the 3, which is fine, what's in it? The content still has to be there to keep us engaged. And if not, hey, like Trav said, look, you've been doing it, right? You've been playing the other game. You got Mass Effect finished. You got,
my question, I guess,
I'm done raging at the game, but I'm just saying, I just hope that if they're going to structurally change, that it would at least the actual structure of it, as far as the timeline, is not just filler kind of stuff. That's just where I'm at. But go ahead,
No, for me, it's you mentioned epilogue, and it just kind of sparked a thought for me. And
go for it.
If they're going to have longer seasons, which they either need to, we wouldn't mind seeing that. I mean, it seems like a thing that probably needs to happen, whether it's now, whether it's later. They probably need to consider longer seasons. I would like to not have an epilogue moment. I would like to go through the weeks of the season, finish the story, and not wait for this like little cap on the end that's like, especially if it's longer, it's going to feel worse and worse and worse waiting to know what that one little thing is. Let us play through the weeks of the story. If you're going to do the drip feed for like 10 or 12 weeks, whatever it's going to be, 10 generally. If you're going to go that long for a story, fine. 10 weeks is still a very long time to keep anybody engaged. And then, you know, you can have your downtime and other stuff like that. But it's like, I don't want to be waiting for the final piece of the story that there's so much leaked out about now. Anyway, we basically know what's going to happen even while I'm gone. I think that in a longer season style, it already doesn't feel great now. Just being like epilogue. Yep. 6 months or 6 weeks, 5 weeks, 4. When are we going to see the end of this story that we were right here on the end of?
Right.
So it's like, if we go through and we kill Aquaria at the end of, spoiler alert, sorry, it's a little late, but if you go through and do all that, the next week should either finish it up or you should do it right there. And you should like kind of see the end of the implications of the season, because they need to tell the story in somewhat of a confined area, especially if you're going to have time in between. I don't know. I know there's going to be the drip. That's like, the drip is hard anyway. Like for me, it's still somewhat annoying to be like, you know, but people are going to blow through it, and it's their business decision to say, hey, this is how we continue, you know, higher activity levels in our game and keep people coming back every week. There's a business decision besides why they're not just doing an expansion and being like, here's all the story. You can blow through everything right now. Go do these, go do the expunge, do the and then burn through them and be done.
I told you, tune in next week.
Yeah. But at a point, I don't want to tune in next week and be like, hey, you know, episode 11 of 11 is going to be 3 months from now. That sucks.
You know what they're doing, right? They literally, Trav might appreciate this. It literally feels like, I don't know if you guys are Walking Dead fans. Are you like
mid-season break?
The mid-season finale.
Dude. Yeah, but
we're getting the mid-season finale. And then we gotta wait.
It's not like there's another half a season. There's like an hour left.
Yeah.
Epilogue is going to take an hour. Epilogue is going to literally take an hour to be like, whatever the thing is, which I'm trying not to say, but I'm pretty sure I know what it is. Whatever story implications, what little story beat happens, whatever little cinematic, you know, animated, however it goes down, it's going to take like an hour, and you guys are going to be done on Tuesday while I'm gone.
You know what it is, Carl? It's that moment in reality shows where the guy's about to get voted off. You know, voted off the cooking show, and then everybody's got that look of anticipation on their face, and then it cuts to a commercial break. And then it comes back, and then they still don't resolve it, and it goes to a second commercial break. It's like that same tactic of like, we got to keep you engaged and keep you going. And I think that's sort of their move, right? Like even the seasons, the fact that there's 4 of them is strategic to them, because it's like keeping you invested in the story for 4 times. And then every one, they're selling you a season pass every time, all 4 times they're selling you that season pass. And I think that's probably why we'll never get fewer seasons, because they have to sell you 4 season passes instead of 2, right? But that's their business model now. They do a lot of microtransactions, and it's an expensive company to run. But I just wish I'm sort of like you guys. Like, how much money do I have to pay you in order to just get the story now and play it like a normal video game? Like, how do I get that? Is there an unlocked Destiny mode?
It's like it's like a mobile game where you're like, let me pay $50 just to play this without all the other BS involved. And it's like, there are sometimes you just want to like, let me play the game at whatever pace I want to, not waiting and doing these other things. It's like, how much do I have to pay to do that? I'll pay $50 just let me do it. Let me do all my stuff right now. Let me enjoy it. And that's, it is this weird kind of butting of heads between the community versus them trying to run a business for the whole data and the numbers and stuff that they look at. And there's a business choice behind some of these things that they're doing. Has to be. Oh, I mean, we've talked about that for Eververse, for Transmog. Like, they still have to make money as they're trying to grow the studio, build other IPs and other things. But there are sometimes it really butts head with what the community wants. Yeah, absolutely. That's when the business side gets in the way, of the gamer, kind of thing. And we talked about it. We talked about it with Transmog. We talked about it with certain little things that we see. And it's clear. It's clear. They're running it like it's the season of The Walking Dead, and it's the finale. And like you said, instead of it being a whole second half of a season, it's one episode, epilogue. Okay, then done. On to the next joint, and that's it. Then this is the Talking Dead. We talk here. We complain. Yeah, but you're doing Talking Dead for 10 weeks in the middle of when there's nothing new to talk about.
Nothing new to talk about. Yeah.
You're like, well, we have all the cast come through twice, even though they've already been killed. Like.
I got Travis, Chris Hardwick. We good right now, man.
So I was like,
roller coaster that CJ talked about with the dips and the valleys and all that stuff. It's just like
seasonal model.
It's hard to talk about the game when all you're doing for 10 weeks is playing Override and doing Grandmaster Nightfalls and waiting for anything, and then a series of a thread of tweets from one of the developers is like the highlight of the month. But
exactly, like we had me and Try like I had tears of joy just even the mention of this. That's how like starving we are for this type of PvP content. But
yeah, it's like it's revealing to see how little has been done in so long, to know the cadence of, I would say all we're going to get, but it's not that of what we're going to get, because it's 4 maps. We are getting some modes. Somewhere in 2022, we are going to get Rift.
Looks like it's thing, man.
That's huge.
Because that'll take the maps that they have and give them a lot of new life, because you'll have Rift is a complete thing that people haven't seen in forever. Basically, that was never in Destiny 2. So they're trying to get that one finalized, plus 2 other modes, which we don't know,
which
brand
we don't
new.
know.
And they're not even like salvage. They say brand new. So there are, I mean, there's some stuff there to look for, but that's 6 months from now.
Yeah.
At the easiest, and then whenever those things launch throughout the year. So I mean, 6 months to a year for whatever people have already been waiting 600, with a joking number for. It's not bad to see it, but it is unfortunately not as much as people would hope for, and still quite a long ways away.
Quite far away. Yeah.
So it's like it's weird. And then, but yeah, it's like reading
really
between the lines
for
on the
multi-team PvP, man. I want 3 teams,
three. Yeah, that'd be cool. I'd love to see something like that. Yeah.
I mean, and consolation prize, we got some Gambit news. Shout out to Tassie.
Yeah, Gambit.
Paul
long-term,
Tassie, I think, forced the Gambit news. That was really weird. I don't think they were going to announce that.
So currently we are playtesting all up Gambit Foundation changes for Season 16. So that'll be Witch Queen, focusing on ammo economy, primeval fight, invasion cadence, power, and more. So they're doing foundational Gambit changes for Witch Queen as well. So there's a team working on that. They're not hiring for that team, but it's probably not the biggest team, I'm guessing, if they're trying to do some of that. But yeah, it's very revealing. Obviously, some stuff happened. A lot of big major things happened behind the scenes to get them to where they were, and they're trying to rebuild. It sounds like they're in, like what sports teams, they're in a building year. Beyond Light was definitely a building year. I mean, Shadowkeep probably was too, because that was, I think, post Activision, and some was in the works, but some was still obviously up in the air. But Beyond Light, obviously, from what we saw, was a building year.
It's a building year.
Yep.
Agreed.
So does that wrap up the PvP world?
That wraps it. Let's go to 12.
Look at him. He's like, are we done with that?
I guess we're done with that. Well, I'm just there's a lot to read into that. Yeah.
Are we done with that? They said.
There's a lot in this thing. I'm gonna kind of touch on pieces as we go, and we'll see. But the big thing is they mention, obviously, read the thing we just talked about. So if you want to read it all, I already got to list it to you. Basically, we got into the next 3 TWABs, from what I've heard in multiple places, I think are all Sandbox. Right. Which, before I get into the Sandbox changes, makes us believe what we talked about offline, the big giant info explosion. Everything's coming on the 24th is basically where we're reading this now, right? You guys think just the 24th is, now you see what the season is, now we see what's coming after, just everything, right?
Yeah,
you guys
going down.
Yep.
Kind of on board with that?
Agreed.
100% agree with that. I think the 24th is going to be, that's going to be the big bombshell where we understand what the next like 18 months of Destiny are going to look like. And I think it's probably where we see most of what the Bungie employees saw when they were freaking out a couple months back. I think I mentioned that last show, but I still think that'll happen. I think we're going to get caught up, at least to some extent, to where they were at. And if we react like they reacted, that'll be a very good day for all of us. So,
so just tweeted you on Twitter, Tiger.
What?
It's funny. Yeah, I'll send it to you. There's someone was like, I always have to wonder, does Travis have suit pants on or shorts underneath the tie?
Oh yeah, what are you wearing with the button down?
I got suit pants. I'm in a full suit usually. So
he's full dressed.
I'll tweet back.
He's dressed to the nines. I see it. Yeah, GMDS.
Yeah. So tell him full suit.
Full suit. Yeah, suit
Full
up.
suit.
Yep.
Every day of my life. It's all I own. I'm like Barney Stinson.
Oh,
All I
GMD
own are
Geek.
suits.
He's in it.
Yeah, he's
GMD
in
Geek
there.
was in the
Oh, yeah.
chat. He tweeted it just now. He
There you
said,
go.
sorry, I had to.
Yep.
Is he wearing shorts or pants?
Teddy,
Should
I
stand
can
up,
confirm
give you
it's
the
suit
full-
pants.
Teddy can confirm it's suit
Full
pants.
suit.
Yeah, there you go. No, we believe you.
That's true.
All right.
Yeah, he's been here. He's seen me in full.
All right. So, first thing on the sandbox is actually not so much sandbox, but melee actions. And there are some very happy people who are excited about this. What you're basically going to be able to do is separate the keybinds, PC and probably console. You might have to find a button, but you're going to be able to separate the key binding for your regular melee or your charged ability melee, because there are sometimes, even if you're right next to somebody, like 1 millimeter away from an enemy's face, you want to use your ability, generally because it can be more powerful. Things like shoulder charges you got to get running for, but just, Celestial Fire, for example, whether you do it in somebody's face, as long as it's not hurting you, you want to use it wherever. And the ability to separate those, a smoke bomb, whatever it may be, if there are points where you want to use that ability, but you don't have a way to separate it. So if you don't touch anything when you log in, everything will still work the same. This is an opt-in where you're literally going to have to go into the controller settings, keyboard settings, and actually choose to have charged melee and uncharged melee have specific key bindings. But I know there are definitely people, I've watched streams and a random enough people in it, even Drewski, I remember what he's like, I wish I could I've heard people mention this before. So I think this is just a nice quality of life thing for control of your actions. When you want to do certain things, guaranteed, if I click this button, I get exactly what I want. Do you guys have any thoughts? Is that something that's going to be beneficial to you? Are you one of those that...
Dude, it's like, actually, that's one of the reasons I never use that subclass for the Titan that gives you the hammer throw, because I don't like having to guess what distance I'm going to be is going to get me to throw the hammer. And another thing that happens is, like, if you click to throw like a hunter knife or whatever, and you're in PvE and somebody steps in front of you, you'll do the regular one and be unable to throw your knife. Yeah. Even if you're trying to, it sort of tries to guess based on contextual information which one it should do. And I kind of hate that. So this is like badly needed in my opinion. It also, I don't think they'll do this because it's an opt-in thing, but it could give them the ability to create different types of melees where, for example, the Titan burn one where you ram into them, you shoulder charge into them, and then it applies a damage debuff or whatever, so you can do more damage to it. That one only works after you've been sprinting for a while, and that was their sort of workaround to get that power and certain other powers to work. And so now that there's a separate button for it, they could actually create new types of melee abilities. Again, I don't think they'll do that because it is optional at this point, but it opens that door to the possibility that they could do that in the future if they wanted to mandate it. But yeah, I think this is great. Awesome quality of life improvement. Is it like life-changing? No, but it certainly is going to help a lot of people. I think probably especially on PC. Yes. Although I play on console, I'll probably make one of the sticks or a paddle on the back. Xbox already has like a really good like mapping system for it's an Elite controller, so I'll probably make a paddle or something like that. Make it solid.
There we go. The video got the little demo.
Do you play just like that, Cog? Like, is that your gaming station where you're sitting right now?
Well, on PC, this is the default. This is the Elite one. Elite. I have the newer Elite, and that's in the living room for the Series X.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, you said it best, man. I can't really say anything behind everything you said. It's great quality of life change, cool option. A lot of gamers, they want, that melee ability when, a thrall, anything is in front, you want to use that power sometimes as opposed to that default melee ability that doesn't do the action that doesn't do the ability kind of thing. So yeah, I think it's cool.
Yeah. I mean, there are moments where it's been something I was like, oh, I wish I didn't do that. But I was like, it doesn't come up as often. Like, it's more in for like precision PvP, high level. You always want to be like exactly precise in what you're doing. But there's still even moments in PvP or PvE stuff where I'm running through something and I go to punch or I go to use an ability. It's not, it would be nice to have the separation. I still will probably leave it auto for a while. It would probably just take me some time to get used to it, hitting an extra key just because I'm so trained not to.
So
just going to have to break the training. But I know it's definitely a good quality of life across the board because it's not required. And those who want to use it will be able to. So I think they handled it well too.
Nice.
Second piece is long-term ability plans. Last season, Sandbox lead Kevin laid out our vision for how we see subclass abilities fitting into the Destiny 2 sandbox moving forward. Our philosophy for ability design is that abilities should complement the core combat of Destiny, but not dominate it. It should enhance the game's gunplay, but not replace it. The changes we're introducing in Season 15 will help set the stage for those larger systemic ability changes in the coming seasons. We'll be focusing on adjusting how often abilities can be used in the Crucible specifically, which is good to see the differentiation of the sandbox. Please stay tuned for more info. So just kind of reiterating, but they definitely are still keeping that as one of those things they're thinking about.
You want me to grab Stasis for you since you've been talking, and then you grab Titan? Give you a little break?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. General Badge. Why is Travis smiling? Why did he just give me the evil smile just now? Season 15 ability fast. General ability. So looks, they're going to be talking about the balance changes that are going to raise up underperforming subclasses, tone down overpowering subclasses. And here we go without further ado. So stasis freeze. The goal of these changes is to make being frozen by stasis less frustrating. Previously, players who were frozen in the air had to wait until they hit the ground to start the breakout process. Additionally, we're shortening the window of vulnerability between breaking out the stasis encasement and losing the damage resistance it provides, and getting back to weapon ready so you can fight back. So, frozen players can now initiate breakout while airborne, shorten breakout animation and camera transition. This means that once you decide to break out, you'll be able to fight back sooner. Differentiated long freeze and short freeze visual treatment to make each status easier to identify. So that is the stasis free stuff. And then I'll just transition to slide, and then I guess we'll comment after. So yeah, slide. The goal of the slide is to slide change is to slightly reduce the effectiveness of sliding into engagements to gain the upper hand. Even after the shotgun changes we made last season, sliding into every engagement with a shotgun or any weapon is still incredibly effective, and running gun playstyles are very low risk. This is a change that looks scarier on paper than feels in practice, in our opinion, and we'll continue to monitor how it plays out. While sliding, players now incur the following weapon penalties: minus 20 stability, plus 15% shotgun pellet spread, and 1.5 times flinch. Stasis and slide, y'all. What are we thinking?
Not going to affect me at all. First of all, I use a pinpoint shotgun, so my spread isn't going to be affected by this. I use precision shotgun.
Salute.
Two, usually when I'm sliding in, if I'm aping, I have Antaeus wards on, so it's not my recoil you have to worry about, it's your own weapon's accuracy, because I'm hitting you with your own weapons. So that's usually my go-to move when I run in. And third of all, for me, like, aping is like, okay, well, we're obviously going to win this encounter, or this against these people, so let's just like make it quick, right? Let's just like run in. But like, if you're in like a sweaty conversation or a sweaty match, like, it's not gonna, it's never gonna enter your mind like, oh yeah, clearly the move is to just like slide in with shotguns and kill everybody. If they actually know what they're doing, because they'll just back up and hit you with a fusion rifle or do something else. So yeah, I think I actually agree with what Bungie said. I think this is scarier on paper than in practice. Now, don't get me wrong, sliding around is like a classic like pro tip, and I think they probably should make that, it needs to be part of the meta, because like sliding around and that sort of thing is still fun. But I tend to agree with them. I don't think the changes that they stated are that big a deal, and I do think it's probably it's probably scarier on paper than it looks.
On paper than what it is.
Can we take one little pause real quick?
Sure.
I'm just doing a little silence there for a cut. Travis, can you try and talk for a sec?
Yes.
Your audio and video like out of sync for some reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you want to like activate, turn off your camera.
Yeah, let me try that.
Because mine sometimes catches.
How's this?
Yes.
Yep, you're good.
Yeah, you're good. You're
Yeah,
back.
just got out.
I'll just do that in the future if I see anybody in the comments talking about
just
that.
got a
Yeah,
little
now
out of sync.
it's more in sync. Yeah,
I was like, I will say Twitter, I literally just was like, oh, let me look at Twitter. And some people, like, they're literally muting stuff about sliding already. Slide and slide nerf that people are not thrilled about this. They said it looks scarier on paper than it feels in practice. Somebody was like, well, I don't care. I'll just have my, Stompies on and my Icarus hand cannon, and they'll just be in the air and it won't matter. Another person I saw a joke that is like, they just want us like running and walking only. They don't want us jumping because inner accuracy. They don't want us sliding, running and walking. That's all I get. Boots on the ground.
That's all you can do. Yeah. Twitter's going to tweet.
I was going to say, is this anything? I'm not as much of a slider. I've seen people use sliding very, very well, and it's scary when they do because it's damn impressive when it's used well. The 1.5x splinch, they're going after very specific things. Shotguns, snipers, like they're hitting these very specifically for a reason. I guess they don't want people sliding around corners and hitting headshots in crazy ways, but I guess we'll have to see how this all plays out. Maybe it's not as bad as everybody thinks. I don't know, but
yeah,
I mean,
I am a pretty aggressive slider. Anybody who's seen me play Crucible knows I slide a lot, but I'm still, I just, it's not that I think them nerfing sliding isn't a terrible idea. I do. I just think the nerfs that they chose aren't that bad.
Yeah, I was about to say, stability, okay. The pellet spread is interesting. I mean, the flinch spread, that to me, I don't think that's that big of a deal. I wanted to ask both of you though, stasis breakouts and that whole camera transition and the whole identification stuff, like how are you guys feeling on E? Like where are you at with that? Because I know you're not team stasis, so I'm curious.
For just the actual frozen players,
so, frozen players, and then the shortened breakout animation, all that stuff. I was curious.
I mean, I like the differentiation to know if it's like a super freeze or like a lesser freeze, because those are different time links, so you know if you even need to try. I think that's actually a good thing to see. Hopefully a pretty substantial distinction. Like, is my screen like a block of ice, or am I just like barely blue? I'm hoping it's noticeable between those two. Doing it airborne, sure. I mean, you can't, like, if you're breaking out, I guess you're trying to do it anyway. You'll probably be breaking out as you fall, so it's a little bit faster. I mean, I'm not playing PvP as much, so I'm not really getting stasis up a lot. So that's more just on what you guys think. Just the differentiation is a good thing, because if there's a difference between how long you're frozen, it's good to be able to visually see it in quick action.
Got you. New Rad makes a great point. He stole my idea. I think, listen, I don't think it's going to be back to the shotgun thing. I don't think it's going to be as dominant as people think. It's going to affect the apes as much, but I do think it will help if they truly do something with fusions. It could help fusions, and it's a play style, like the backpedal and the Voops play style, that kind of thing, to kind of, because the apes want to close that distance, right? You want to get in there kind of thing. So I'm curious to see if the meta shakes up depending on the buffs that may come with the next Sandbox. That's the key, because on paper right now, that sounds minimal. But if they do something else to other archetypes, now we can see a shift. And I don't know, Travis. Then it might not be ape season for you, but we'll see. It's early. We got.
We'll see. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I just don't get worried about it, because I mean, if you're committed to being good at Crucible, you'll adapt and you'll figure out a new play style. And if you just want to be like, oh, what you're using now and the weapons you're using now and the subclass you're using now are always going to be the best, most efficient way to play in Crucible, why do you want that? That sounds really boring. Like, to me, part of the reason Destiny's fun is because it's so dynamic and it's always changing, and the meta sort of is out in the wild. And I think Destiny's actually been best, but Destiny Crucible has been best when it took the longest for a meta to be established, like a big one. So I think if they can, I don't get scared when this sort of stuff changes. If I wanted a game with a predictable sandbox that was super well balanced, there's a lot of other games I could play. For Destiny, I go for the Wild West. Like, I want it to be a little bit crazy, and for people to have interesting weapons, and for buffs and debuffs happening all the time. And so this is part of the game for me. I'm excited to see what happens. And as for the breaking out of ice stuff, I think those sound like good changes. I think still, obviously, stasis, I think, is going to get a buff later down the road. But I think right now they're trying to change the main complaints that we had about stasis before they do that. And one of the main complaints is if you're on the receiving end, it just doesn't feel good. If you have some sort of chance to fight back, I think it would have been a lot better received. And so I think they're fixing that part, and then they'll probably end up buffing stasis in PvP again. I actually think they will, like down the road. But for now, the PvE buff definitely needs to happen. For Titans, which they talk about. So
we're gonna talk about, no doubt. Nope, completely agree. I think you said it best. I think my thought process is the same. That's why I love Destiny PvP. You know, my whole the Wild West analogy is perfect because, again, unlike other players, I don't get in my feelings when the meta shifts. I'm already 2 steps ahead whenever that shift, and I see a role of a god roll or something that I think, even though it's not effective right now, this could be potentially effective if the meta shifts, and I'll store that bad boy in the vault. So when the meta shifts, oh yeah, I got that. I'm ready to go. So when you stay married to one weapon, one archetype, one loadout, you're going to be affected by these things. Like Travis said, if you play and you love Destiny and you can adapt, that to me is what makes it exciting. I actually prefer that type of style, but I know it's not easy to balance. I know it's not, and I know people who are balance purists hate it. I get that. This is not the game for you. But for me, give me the Wild Wild West. Who's the new top shooter right now? Who's the new man? Like, I love that stuff. So it speaks to me.
Yeah. There are balance purists who play Destiny, really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. People get
really,
bro.
Like, I mean, I know there are. I'm just saying, like, really, guys, this is the hill you're gonna die on. They balance in Destiny. Like, what are you thinking?
My thing again and my thing, and I'm like, all right, you know, it is what it is. But anyway, we got a lot of stuff. Titans are up. I'm dying to hear y'all on this.
All right, Titans Rally Barricade. This barricade variant doesn't see much use. Standing behind the Rally Barricade now also provides the following buffs besides the reload speed benefits: 30% stability, 10% range, minus 50% flinch. Also, for barricades, currently certain fast-moving abilities allow you to speed through an enemy barricade while taking minimal damage. The goal of this change is to make players think twice before dashing through a barricade to engage a Titan on the other side. Barricades still can't cause lethal damage, but dashing through one should now leave you with basically a sliver of health. Pretty straightforward. It just says, moving at high velocity, you now take more damage when traveling through hostile barricades. Barricades now slightly protrude into the ground to better protect the Titan's feet on uneven ground. Basically, it would help projectiles and certain things from getting underneath the Titan's barricade for whatever reason they would. I mean, overall, Rally Barricade, I cannot think of the last time I even thought about using it. So, I mean, it's a positive. What's up?
Question: do you not use it because this is Titan talk? You have to educate me. You don't use it because y'all guys got the new exotic that has the better one that shoots
Titans, through. I don't use that much, but I mean that's a good one for PvP anyway.
I'm curious.
For PvP, you want the height because you need your full body coverage. Even not as a PvP player, there's a reason that thing is tall. So Titans just makes that better.
I'm just curious because I just throw a solar grenade on y'all. So I'm just curious how y'all how y'all feeling.
I mean, and that's fine. You can still shoot through it, but
Travis ain't like I love to discuss. I had to poke the bear. But for your perspective,
this is the rally is only a PvE thing. It's the only reason you'd ever even think about this, to have, you know, the reload speed, the stability, the range. If you can put that, if there is a damage phase, which God knows every boss setup is like, stand here, do damage. If they keep that train going, they're going to at least make Rally Barricade more beneficial for some people. Even in higher activities, having the reload speed now, stability, extra range for certain things, less flinch, like you're going to be more on target in a PvE setting. So this is going to help that. I still don't know if it's going to help it a ton. Rally Barricade just seems like one of those, like, not the greatest ideas in the first place thing.
Oh, yeah.
I can see it. I think the fact that I think it's got like a recoil reduction, or what was
stability,
the 50%
flinch, 50% less flinch.
That to me, I mean, you could snipe over that thing. I can see a lot of benefits there, but it really doesn't have any. I mean, the Rally Barricade right now, I think, is in a pretty bad place in the meta. Like the Hunter Dodge is a really good ability.
That's the best by far.
The Warlock Well has a lot of like different ways you can use it. And the Titans Rally Barricade got nerfed in PvE, and nobody uses it in PvP for obvious reasons. And so you're just left with a wall, and the wall breaks really quick. And if you're let's say I've got a warlock next to me, he's going to be dead before I can even get the wall up because he's a warlock, right? And so I mean, because it just takes so long to deploy it, and then the only way that you can actually make it useful is if you use an exotic that lets you shoot through it, which you should be able to do anyway, in my opinion. With the level that the hunter and the warlocks have with their class abilities, I think you should just be able to shoot through the wall by default. So maybe that sounds really imbalanced. Maybe it is, but I just think
it
that,
does. Continue.
But I mean, it's just like the hunter. Like I don't know. I guess I just have some envy.
Yeah, what is
picture
the hunters?
Picture about a hunter.
The hunter dodge is like obviously the best ability.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
PvE?
In PvP.
I know I'm talking about PvE right now. I know where you go in PvP. I'm with you on PvP. But
even hunter dodge with worm husk is a faster heal than what is it? Heart of Inmost Light? No.
I guess my question to
it's just
my Titan brothers. Yeah, go ahead, continue.
No, that was all.
Oh no, I was just saying my question. I was surprised that you guys feel a little hunter ability envy. I mean, I understand.
Okay, listen. Hokie said it in chat. Hunter dodge is broken with worm husk. Nothing else can dodge, reload, heal, and get out of line of fire at the same time.
Hunters using that in PvE like that though?
I mean, you could. You literally in bad situation, dodge, heal up, get out of cover, dodge to the side. Like, I mean,
I'm just surprised you guys look at Titan
Hunter dodge is powerful.
Okay.
Titan barricade is cute at times.
Okay, fair enough. I just wanted to get the mindset of the Titan and his barricade currently in the meta, and now we get
in high level PvP. Titan's Ramparts is probably abused, but other than that,
okay. My feeling is just that the Titan barricade is like irrelevant in the meta, more or less. I mean, there's very, very specific use cases you can use it in PvE. Nobody uses the rally barricade in either mode because it just got nerfed into the ground and they never fixed it. And the tall one, it's like, okay, well, you can't shoot through it, so the only thing it's good for is if you need to hide somewhere and wait to heal. And if you were trying to do that, you could just use a Warlock Well, because the Warlock Well just heals you right away. So, like, what is the reason for the Titan barricade? That's my question, right? Okay. So I think this needed to happen. I actually think it's probably not even going to be enough. I think people might still not use the smaller barricade in most cases, and I think the tall barricade is still just going to be the kind of mostly useless ability that it is now. Okay. So yeah, I just have a I think this is definitely good
picture
direction.
a Warlock healing well. As you said, I can put up a wall, I can deflect shots in front of me. If anything gets outside of that little spread in either PvE or PvP, I'm still in a very vulnerable situation. Warlocks have an omnidirectional look wherever they want, can attack or do whatever out of a healing rift that continues to heal. Even if I use an exotic on my wall, on my barricade that heals me, it's once. It's not a continuous heal. You guys have this continuous healing thing just lasting underneath your feet. You've got exotics that make it last longer.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So I was like, the barricade is definitely the redheaded stepchild of the abilities, in my opinion, compared to the other two. It's probably, and I wouldn't imagine that's Behemoth. I don't want to read the entire wall of text here, but the main piece is Cryoclasm. While equipped, base slide now shatters crystals and frozen enemies. Increases the duration screen effects, notifying players that Cryoclasm long slide is ready from 1 second to 4.5 seconds. Shiver Strike, they did increase the movement speed on it by 25% because that got nerfed kind of into the ground a little too hard, and it definitely hurt PvE. And the Whisper of Rhyme fixed a bug where the overshield provided by Whisper was not scaling precision damage correctly. That's always one of those weird bugs. But Shiver Strike increased the movement speed. It got nerfed in the ground in PvE as well, which really hurt. So that's good to see. I don't know how much it got brought down, but it's definitely not fully back to where it was. I know that.
Right.
Do you know, Travis, how much it was brought down before? It was a lot.
I don't yeah, it was a significant amount, but yeah. I think this is good. I mean, obviously it only affects PvE, so people tend to just use whatever they want in PvE. I actually do see people use this subclass in PvE still. Sometimes,
I haven't ever got much use out of Behemoth in PvE. It's just never, I've missed too many melees. Like the tracking on it's not great, that I've missed too many enemies that I'm like, oh, let me punch and slide right by. And then the fact that you have to slam and then shatter, and the warlocks over here just like Gandalf, just like
a lot
like
of warlock
freeze
jealousy.
smash, freeze smash.
Easy. I've been watching you.
Have you seen how many warlocks do like grandmasters and the power of it's a potent
no,
class?
facts.
And
I did check.
Warlocks
No,
are
facts.
extremely powerful for the 5 seconds
Yeah.
they stay alive. They're really good. They can be a thing to be reckoned with.
Anywho, middle tree sunbreaker,
Let's
throwing
finish with your
hammer,
abilities.
increase
Guardian
time before hammer explodes. So you have instead of 6.5 seconds to pick up the hammer on the ground, it's up to 10. So if you do want to use it, you can be a little more forgiving to finish the fight. And then go pick up your hammer. They also increase the damage versus powerful PvE combatants by about 50%. So if you hit a, orange or yellow bar with the throwing hammer, it's a 50% buff with the throwing hammer.
How we feeling? What's up?
I mean, that's better. It definitely is.
That's damn better. What do you mean? That's
Yeah.
better.
It's a melee.
The lowest rung of the totem pole. Y'all better stop. Continue.
And think about how this is going to interact with the separate mapping for melee abilities too.
Yeah, that'll and see if
This
that
almost
will
seems
combine
like purpose
better.
built for this.
Yes.
Yeah, because it'll reduce the amount of times you accidentally throw your hammer, which happens to me all the time. Like, yeah, so I might actually give that subclass a spin.
Nice.
I think they're doing the thing they normally do, where they try to buff the less used subclasses in hopes that people use them more, and sometimes they end up fixing the problem, and sometimes it's not enough and nobody uses it. So we'll see.
See if it's
what
enough.
they do, but yeah, the Titan ones, I was sort of like, okay, like that's interesting.
Yep.
I probably will still not use the stasis subclass for PvE, and but I will try out the solar one. That tree has always been one I've wanted to like, but it's just never been in a good spot.
Middle tree,
in PvE
that whole
or
burning
PvP.
maul super just always feels not great. It's never felt great.
I don't
It was
like
good in
that one for
PvP for a while, but I think they nerfed it. I
nerfed the tracking.
I remember liking it for like 2 weeks. I don't know, but the melee has always sucked.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. I don't. That middle one for y'all.
It's like, let's smash the ground and do this fire tornado, but it
spin.
Never feels like it's got to travel along the ground. It's the whole thing. Top and bottom tree striker. Some of the game's melee-based supers are at a bit of a disadvantage in today's sandbox, so we've decided to give a few of them some love. In the future, we'll be looking at ways to reduce the disparity between melee supers and ranged supers in a more substantial way. I'll be curious what they do there. Fist of Havoc increased the slam detonation radius by 14%, reduce the damage fall off of slam, and then reduce the slam attack activation cost from 21 to 18%. So I guess you might be able to get one more slam off if you do them fast. Middle tree striker as well. The inertia override, which honestly I forget what it specifically does. Increased duration from 4 seconds to 6 seconds. Sliding over an ammo brick now grants 20% melee energy. Do you remember what that does? Is anything?
Titans.
Yeah, is that the behemoth one where when you do that, when you do the ground pound as your melee ability, it charges your super?
Maybe.
Isn't this?
Like I'm honestly blanking on what it is. Somebody in chat will probably know faster than I do.
Yeah, someone in chat will probably know. Inertia override, y'all.
That's middle tree striker. So that's like
middle tree
Thunder
striker.
Crash.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So when you do the pound, if you kill somebody, it charges your super. So that works in PvE and PvP. PvE, it's super good because it means you get your super back like all the time, especially if you are doing a build that gets your melee back quick. Because you can just keep charging your melee, and then your melee, as long as you're getting kills with that, you're charging your super.
Like Monte Carlo.
It creates a cycle of you just like abusing that power and just getting your Titan Slam back a bunch of times. So I still think that's one of the most fun trees. If I'm playing in a mode and it doesn't really matter which tree I play as, I play as that one. Yeah, actually, usually.
Oh, Thunder Crash, especially with the super now. Just
yeah.
Top Tree Sentinel, they said Ward of Dawn, they increased the damage taken from bosses from 0.25x to 7x at 0 resilience. The higher resilience, the more damage it can be taken. Now, I read this as like the player, but they mentioned that down below for another subclass, which I think it's Ward of Dawn they mentioned it on. And the way they phrased it clarified. They say, same thing, increase the damage taken from bosses by 0.25. For you guys, it's up to 1.5x. The damage taken can scale based on the resilience stats. You guys actually would need resilience for Well of Radiance, but it says, note, this refers to the Well of Radiance itself and not the players inside the well. So I think the same thing. So if you're standing in the well and you have your shield, you're still not going to take a crap ton more damage by standing there. I think more it's the fact that it's the bubble if you put the bubble on a boss and this boss is smashing the bubble, then I think if your resilience is not very high, then that bubble is going to get killed quicker. Titans already have high resilience, so I don't know how much this is actually going to change. Yeah. But I guess they don't want people basically spawning supers on bosses to sit there and nuke them forever. We'll see.
Pretty much. Yep, pretty much. Vintage Bungie.
For hunters, Revenant, main 2 pieces, Silence and Squall, they increase the movement speed of the Squall itself, so the Storm will be traveling 20% faster. I mean, there's times you can usually get away from it. So now it will be chasing you with a bit more passion. The Squall Storm now stops when it touches a boss. Now, they did mention when it touches a boss, it stops to hopefully make it damage more, not just kind of like roam away.
Right, roam
But
past
if the boss moves, then the Squall does not restart again. And they said they're working on improving that in the future. So they're trying to figure out how to make the super, like, I guess, target something and stay targeted to it, as opposed to hit a boss, stop moving, then the boss moves, and then it's stuck there and being stupid. So we'll see. Also, Withering Blade projectile speed. They want to bring that back up a little bit after the nerf. About 10% of projectile speed and tracking will be increased. Middle Tree Gunslinger. That is 1,000 Knives, I guess. Knife Trick, which increased the burning duration from 3 seconds to 4 seconds. So they're going to give that timer a little bit longer. Top Tree Gunslinger. Neither of us are hunters, so I'm sure there's hunters just like screaming over all this stuff, and we're like, yeah, sure, whatever. The 6-shooter damage fall off now starts at 25 meters instead of 20. Basically, they just said it would reduce how often you need to get 2 shots in Crucible.
Right.
It sounded like.
Interesting.
Arc Strider, Arc Staff. They're going to extend the passive super duration from 16 to 20 seconds. Increase the heavy slam detonation radius by 1 meter. Increase damage versus PvE combatants by 33%. So Arc Staff in PvE 33% stronger. This is not the biggest PvE buff, but there are some weak supers in PvE.
Yeah.
And we're going to get to yours.
I can't wait.
Which is hilarious. How much of a buff. But even like 33% more damage on a super. Again, this comes back to my like, hey, rockets are sucked for 2 years. Now we're going to give them 30%. This is, again, when they do all the data and they put it all together and they collect all this and then they do the research and they're testing and then we're like, okay, now it's a third stronger. I'm like, that's substantial.
Yeah.
When you start adding up the damage, like that'll make a difference as opposed to, hey, this doesn't feel quite right. You want to give it 10% buff, but they have to go through and do an entire doctoral dissertation before they get to a final number.
Cutoff point on the data.
Do you think they throw a dart at a dartboard to decide the percentage?
If it was 34.12, yes, but 33 is kind of a number. It at least sounds good, I guess. Top Tree Arc Strider, Deadly Reach, increase the duration from 8 to 10 seconds. And Middle Tree Arc Strider, Lightning Weave. Dealing damage with Tempest Strike now triggers Lightning Weave. Timer can be extended by dealing damage with any weapon. I am not a hunter expert, so I'm not entirely sure what that one implies.
Lightning Weave.
There's, again, hunters, sorry you're freaking out. We did not round out the podcast with a Titan, a Warlock, and Honor. We are Titan heavy. We apologize. Middle Tree Night Stalker, Spectral Blades, reduce the damage reduction from during the super from 52 to 47%. They had some of the highest damage reduction of everybody, so they're bringing that down. And then reduce additional damage reduction while invisible. It was a 5% increased damage reduction. Now it's only a 3%. So it was 52. Now it's 47. And then while invisible, it was 57 and now it's 50.
Yeah.
So it's definitely seems to be, you'll be able to have a better chance of killing a Spectral Blade if you can spot their crazy people.
Thank God.
Warlock, this one's yours.
Yeah. Winter's Wrath, start with Shadebrander. Reduce Shadow Pulse damage versus close range supers. So Warlock must now freeze and shatter twice to defeat players in Burning Maul, Fist of Havoc, Sentinel Shield, Nova Warp, Arc Staff, or Spectral Blades. Glacial Quake still only requires one shatter. Huh?
Fair.
Yeah, I'm going to finish.
That was cheesy as hell, man. Getting killed out of your super because somebody froze you and staffed you from 25 yards away.
This, to me, I don't have too much of a problem with it, only because the range on it was so long. And the fact that, if you have a roaming, you have a close range super, you really couldn't do anything.
Couldn't get to you guys.
Yeah, that was fair. Now, here's the big one, y'all. That Top Tree Dawn. Yeah. TTD. So Celestial Fire, that's the melee. So it looks like they're going to reduce the tracking cone angle. Aiming shape, proximity to detonation now shrinks over time. reduced detonation size by 1 meter, damage fall off increased at short distances. Then the Icarus Dash, very controversial, now provides 1 air dodge every 4 seconds. While under the effect of heat rises, though, it increases to 2 dodges every 5 seconds. And then heat rises, they increase duration from 10 to 15 seconds. Increase the time extension awarded for air kills while heat rises is active. The extension duration differs based on the type of enemy killed. That's interesting. Your location now appears on enemy radar when using heat rises. This is going to be interesting in the community.
I didn't know that was a thing it did already. So I was like, you're telling me you're invisible while you're crazy floating in the air? I didn't even know. I did not know that was a thing. So
you're not on radar.
Yeah, thank God. I think this is something that needed to happen because that is kind of cheesy. The whole not being able to.
What
know
about
where
the
you are
Icarus Dash and your wonderful?
Yeah,
you're already flying.
It's gonna. Oh, sorry. It's Ty City.
I was just gonna say you're already flying. You need to be invisible too. It's that bad. It's because it's that ability to not stay alive unless if a warlock isn't hidden, they're dead. Right. That's what happens. At least in my fire team.
I'm waiting
Guardian
for him.
down.
I'm waiting for him to finish his foolishness.
Into their warlock.
I'm waiting for his foolishness to finish so I can actually speak the facts of the class.
Go ahead.
Thank you.
Warlock.
Thank you, sir. Now that your foolishness is done.
Talk your Osiris talk.
Like I was saying.
Talk.
Like I was saying, the Celestial Fire is interesting. That's the melee. That part is interesting. I mean, I don't know. I didn't think that part of it. The Icarus Dash, I understand. The
double.
That's a lot of movement. What is with the snarky comments?
No, I'm saying like the Icarus Dash. Like, is the double? Did you feel that was almost too much? Do you feel the one is okay? Where do you? Because I know seeing like a warlock do a double dash in the air is obviously like very powerful. I wondered where you fall on Icarus Dash.
This is where I fall on it. I think that shout out to Teddy. Thank you. I think Travis is confusing Warlock 100. Exactly. He don't know what he's talking about. But like I was saying, with the Icarus Dash, at first when I read it, I didn't like it. Right. But then when I seen what they did, it's not that bad. It's like 1 air dodge every 4 seconds. Right now, it's probably like you get 2, back to back, without anything. So I don't have a problem with that per se. Where people don't realize is a low key buff is they're encouraging heat rises, because if you use heat rises, then it increases. You get 2 dodges every 5 seconds, which is kind of how it was pre heat rises. Before you could do the 2 dashes without heat rises. So basically they said, but now when you use heat rises, you're getting the radar on the map. So that's the balance. You know what I'm saying? I don't have too much problem with this. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, I have to admit, as a Warlock main, in PvP, top tier, that's the superior class. Like it's like, so they had to do something to bring it down a little bit in line with the other stuff, and we'll get into the stuff. So overall, I do hear what Travis is saying. He just being messy for no damn reason. So we're gonna move on. Now this is the one I'm excited about.
I'm just saying, if you're in the air and you have the ability to dodge, it's already hard to see you. Not appearing on radar is sort of like, all right, man. Like, how many more advantages do you need?
Yeah, it's a bit much. It's a bit much. You know what I'm saying? But in its defense, it took a long time for Top Tree to get to that level. Top Tree used to be super trash. Then they went too far. Now they're bringing it down. Okay. Middle Tree, which is, well ratings, all that stuff. Okay. So they increased damage taken, which E already talked about, from bosses, kind of from 0.25x to 1.5x at 0 resilience. Damage taken can scale down to 0.25x based on the owner's resilience stat. Note, this refers to the Well of Radiance itself and not players inside the well, which E mentioned. Increased damage resistance buff versus enemy players from 20% to 40%. Interesting. Players inside Well of Radiance are now immune to stasis, freeze, and slow. I would have talked to E about this. Well Sword can now be frozen and shattered by stasis. And then Guided in Flame, increased duration from 7 seconds to 10 seconds, and increased damage buff from 20% to 25%. E, I know me and you in the past have always talked about...
Oh, we joked about fire not being able to be frozen.
Yes, you remember.
And guess who gets it first? Warlocks. Oh, buff again.
Oh my god!
Now you teed. No, you teed.
He's got a point though.
You teed that one up for me.
If you're on fire in the game, why are you getting frozen? It doesn't seem.
Oh yeah, we've joked about that as like, counterbalances to like light and dark subclasses. Right. You have ice and you literally have fire. I'm like, I'm walking around as a giant ball of Titan fire.
Mm-hmm.
why can I be frozen? Especially
So
from about
you feel
12
you should be
yards
immune
away.
to being frozen.
Especially
You
as
should be
well,
immune.
like that would be a cool counterplay.
Well, you kind of getting that with Shade Binder, right? Because if I'm using my Shade Binder,
I finally
and
can't get frozen and be like, oh, I'm running.
Yeah, you've got that now. So,
Finally. You're still going to be able to hit me twice and
finally?
probably freeze me.
Oh my God, you guys want everything. Jesus.
I mean, I'm just saying, when the sandbox is finished, it almost seems natural, like there should be counters, right?
Yeah.
And ice and fire almost seem like they're a counter. At least, if you hit me with an ice move, maybe the most that happens is you put out my fire. But freeze me, I think you're skipping a few steps there. I should just be a wet Titan if you hit me with ice and I'm on fire. You know what I mean?
Wet Titan.
I should just be wet. I just look like I'm dripping. I leave a puddle everywhere I go. That would make sense to me. Freezing me, I just have a problem with it. I'm like you, it doesn't make sense to me. But I do think this is a good change. If you're literally standing in a well of fire, like the idea that you could be slowed or frozen is crazy.
Yeah, it's kind of.
I think this is
and the fact that it gives you guys more enemy, like the PvP buff for you guys makes well more viable to stand in, not get frozen, and obviously take less damage. So I mean, you're going to be really hard to kill in a well, like near impossible. It seems like.
Oh, no, not near impossible now.
I mean, if you thunder crash on top, you maybe, but I mean, gun to gun, standing in a well, like that damage reduction of 40% plus your healing, it's going to be hard to kill. It's hard to kill.
Using this in the well outside of a random.
I'm not
weird
saying well
person in
happens
Iron Banner.
Yeah, I was like, I'm not saying well happens a lot in PvP, but I'm saying if somebody chose to use that playstyle for like, what about a control point?
If they commit to it. If they commit to it, yes.
If they commit to like a high resilience and then something like that.
Yeah, I agree.
So.
I see people rocking it in Iron Banner this week. Lots of well radiances and bubbles. Yeah,
really. I'm used to the bubble Titan doing it. I've never seen but yeah. I mean, this would definitely encourage that playstyle for sure. I will give E that. Moving on, bottom tree. This one is for me. Let's go. Phoenix dive. Reduce delay before dive starts. Can now input a direction to dive in that direction. That's nice. Ignition touch, ability rework, solar ability kills, and kills on burning targets now cause targets to explode and burn other nearby enemies. This is great. This is a playstyle I use in PvP. Phoenix Dive is supremely underrated because Phoenix Dive, you can actually heal on the way down, a snippet of your health. So you can get into an engagement, run or jump in the air, and then just come down and get a little bit of health back. Super important in the igniting touch. This is going to be good. And with Dawn Chorus, the people that get the buggy eye, if you got that helmet, this is really going to help in PvE with burning enemies. And that's one of the highest DPS supers, even more than Chaos Reach if you throw a grenade on somebody with the burning effect. But that's another thing. Anyway, Middle Tree Stormcaller. So now we got Chaos Reach. Increased beam environment collision size to better match collision size with damage size. That's funny. Reduced beam damage radius in PvP for 20%. This had to happen. It's broken. I have to admit, as a warlock, that thing be hitting the things it ain't supposed to hit. I've been the recipient of it. It's messed up. Reduced
beam will ruin your whole career for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Reduced beam endpoint sphere radius in PvP by 33%. I think these are all self-explanatory. I don't know if I have to go into it.
Yep.
We know what this is. This had to happen. I'm tired of getting Chaos Reach behind a wall. I just played a whole bunch of Crucible recently, competitive, and that was happening. That was getting on my nerves. Anyway, bottom
combine that with the refunding system, and it was extra toxic.
With the extra and Teddy,
the refund master over here.
Teddy,
I'm gonna put on my glasses so I can do the same thing.
Yeah.
Teddy,
100 intellect, running Chaos Reach. What's the name of the power when you get it to 80% and you run and you get it back up to 100?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. The Geomags. Yeah.
Yeah, topping off.
Yeah.
Topping off.
Teddy. Anyway, that's my man. I got to mess with him. Oh, I ran with him. He had like 4 supers in a match. It was crazy.
Yeah, he's like that every time I've done PvP
he's
with him.
Super toxic with that build. Continue. Bottom tree Stormcaller is a favorite of mine. Arc Soul. Increase duration from 12 seconds to 13. Okay. Increase fire rate by 10%. Very underrated. Usually have an exotic that does that. Electrostatic Surge. Now increases sprint speed when allies are near. I forgot what Electrostatic Surge does. But anyway. Landfall, this is big. Now fires 5 arc ground projectiles on cast. This is good. We need that Titan smash. When we come down, I want a bigger area effect. That's what the Titans can do. I like that for us. I'm good. Now this is the baby right here. Middle Tree Void. Let's get it.
Oh, I saw
Nova Warp.
Nim
This was my-
plays. Oh, Nim plays is
Nova
so excited
Dance.
about this.
No, I can't wait to talk to them. This is for us because, so long. Increased damage by PvE versus PvE competitive by 73%.
That's insane.
Before y'all scoff.
No, that's how sad. That's how much that needed it.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Okay.
Yeah,
anything that needs
I
a-
thought
that
you were
was
going to give me
really
hell.
I've joked about rockets needing 30%. Anything that needs a
Bro.
PvE buff by 73%. And somebody literally
Bro.
tagged me on Twitter where it's somebody's like, Nova Warp against a red bar knight and a
against
grandmaster.
the red bars be laughing at you. You use Nova Warp.
Yeah, that's
It's a joke.
That's-
It is a joke. Yes.
that's sad. Like that.
I mean, the
that
knights
much,
are laughing at you anyway because you're a warlock. But,
Shut up, Travis. Moving on.
but like that big of a number just says, yeah, that super was broken in PvP or PvE.
Yeah, it was.
That's
it was
really sad.
never balanced.
Yeah.
Like, it's like they made it for PvP, and like no one's ever going to use this in PvE. But anyway, moving on.
Yeah.
No longer slows movement speed. No longer slows movement speed while charging in charge. Interesting. So that we're going to get some mobility here. That's closing distance. This could be a sleeper. And now detonates on cast. That's big. So you could use it as almost like a reaction, like boom, pop it in area. Nova Warp. Watch out, y'all. It could be something. E's favorite. This is his favorite right here.
Oh shit.
Handheld Supernova. This is his baby. He loves it. He loves it. Increased damage versus PvE combatants by 100%. Boys,
PvE,
get out
it's
your
fine.
controverse holes,
I don't mind it.
baby.
I don't mind it. I don't mind it in PvE.
Yeah,
That's fine.
PvE is fine.
But it being the only one-hit grenade in PvP is a little.
Yeah, that was messy. It was messy. It was toxic. I admit. Now,
Yeah, the cone was
also,
like this wide.
Yeah, it was stupid. It was dumb. I ain't gonna lie. And increased hold time though, but I guess to balance it, you gotta hold it now that extra from 2.5 to 3.2,
Yep.
and that's it. So that's what I got on the Warlocks. Overall, my thoughts as a Warlock main, pretty fair. I can't get too crazy. I'm really happy about Nova Warp. I'm really happy about what you call Bottom Tree Storm. I haven't used that in a while. And yeah, I mean, Nova, let's be honest, if you're a Void Lock, you're using Devour for the most part. You may use Top Tree to charge up. So Nova Warp needed love. I know that guy.
Yeah.
I know their analytics show like 0.1% usage because nobody's using
I
it.
think the Warlocks got the best set of buffs and debuffs because, like you said, you're happy about these things that got buffed, and the rest of the world is happy about Chaos
Fact,
Reach getting debuffed. So like
Chaos Reach and Top Tree gone. Yeah.
It's a
Had to get
I think
balance.
Warlocks got the most love in all of this stuff. So.
Yeah, I thought it was fair. What about overall with you Titans? Like you overall with all these things, you got buffs, debuffs, like where you guys at overall with the changes?
I mean,
Happy about barricades, but I don't think any of the subclass buffs are really going to change a lot on the Titan.
I mean, it's like the hammer's fine. It's, you could toy around with a little more if you use, but if you're stuck with the burning maul,
Nothing excites you to try E like that.
I mean, the top and bottom tree striker for the slams having, bigger radius, less activation cost. I mean, that's not a bad thing. But I mean, overall, it's not gonna. None of this really says I'm gonna change my play style. I'm not gonna go.
What are you maining PVE for in-game content? Your go-to then? Still,
I mean, I honestly really should probably use my super every so often. No, usually I'm literally going through like lost sectors. I'm like, I don't use my super and I don't use exotics. So anybody who takes my guide can take my base level crap and you use whatever you're going to use to make it better. So I don't literally ever cast my super. So it's like, I feel like I haven't cast the super.
Jesus.
But I was like, I don't want to be like,
what is going on?
No,
here?
but the reason is, like, I'll literally
now we
say
don't
at
use
a
super.
But I'm literally going to say, I'm like, hey, here's a great place to cast the super. Hey, here's a good exotic that you can use. I'll tell you what you can use, but I don't want to be like, hey, here's a champion that's kind of annoying. Use your super here. But it would be my super as opposed to anybody else's. So I literally make it to where it doesn't.
I know what you.
Yeah. So I make it for everybody. And then you could just take your build, make it easier. So it's like, but for me, like nothing I read is, as you said, Nova Bomb or Nova Warp. That's like a game changer. That makes that subclass like, hey, I'll go try that out. Nothing like throwing hammer for Burning Maul is not enough to make me use Burning Maul, probably. Top and bottom striker at least has some decent potential, but nothing. It's just going to be bigger, but you already kind of smash and blow stuff up your near anyway. Middle Tree Striker, I would have to look what Initial Override does, but that's like a melee build. And Top Tree Sentinel got kind of nerfed. So,
Gotcha.
honestly, not much for me is really game changing as a Titan.
Trav, anything exciting you? Like, that you like, it's going to make you at least try a new playstyle, a new Titan subclass?
Oh, yeah.
Nothing?
Yeah. I mean, I'll try all of them. I mean, that's sort of my go-to is I just like messing around and trying different things, which people I play PvP with get mad at because I end up just using the session as an experimentation and don't get good at anything.
Right, yeah, you're just messing around, yeah.
Yeah, I just like to do that. I like to try different weapons and different play styles and just kind of goof off and figure out what's good. And then I really only ever get sweaty toward the end of the season when I absolutely have to. But yeah, I'll try them all out. But again, I think the more exciting buffs and debuffs are in the Warlock and Hunter camps. And the Titans, it's all sort of just like a little bit of fine-tuning. I will say the barricade thing is big. I think that's probably the biggest thing Titans got. I don't know that it fixes it, but it will at least give us some options and 50% less flinch. If that works on snipers and the way I'm hoping it does, that could be a huge game changer. It could mean that Titans are just like the sniper class now because we can just avoid flinch and take people out with our barricades and set up shop in one part of the map and just go crazy. So I would love that, but we'll see what happens. So far, most of the patches, I mean, weirdly, the thing I'm happiest about is like the Warlock Chaos Reach debuff, and also just the fact that I'm going to see more different Warlock subclasses in PvP is nice. Like, just because I'm facing off against these classes too, so I want there to be variety in that.
No doubt.
But yeah, other than that, just it's okay.
Cool.
Good.
Cool.
See how it changes things up.
I'm overly excited.
I know you are. You got a lot in this TWAB for sure.
There's a shift, but I mean, seeing Chaos Reach come down is a good shift for others. So it's like there's balance both ways. As for powering up stasis, basically they state when you get your stasis powers, getting the fragments and the aspects is not very clearly stated to you. So they're trying to make that better and also show the fact that it's like a path that has like many unlocks that you need to work through, and they want to make that very clear when you interact with the stranger. So they are working on trying to make the Born in Darkness quest, which had a lot of steps, and then the exotic and all that stuff, make that a much more manageable. And they're also trying to make the aspects and the fragments like all show up that you don't have, so you can be like, oh, I have like 8 more of these things that's going to unlock the class. So they're trying to make it much more obvious, especially for newer players. If they jump into Beyond Light, try it out. What stasis is all about? It's this thing you should have. Hey, went and did the basic quest. I've got it. Oh, there's like 12 more things I can work on, as opposed to, is there this quest buried in my inventory that unlocks a bunch of stuff and they don't know it? So it's just a general quality of life for people who aren't aware, and also to show you what you haven't got yet. So generally a good thing. I get that. Just makes me wonder when we're ever going to see that type of change for the other subclasses. But from the
they did say they're going to do it.
I was like, from the PvP bandwidth type stuff, I don't see it's really soon.
Yeah, it's going to be a while.
Yeah, definitely not. Yeah.
But other than that, one thing, again, for anybody listening to this, I want to reiterate, the display name of the first platform the players log in with when they play Destiny 2 at the beginning of Season 15 will become your Bungie name. So whatever you want that to be, pick the platform that has the right one and make sure it's normal looking. Otherwise, you're going to be Guardian 12,722. That's mostly it.
Yeah, it's mostly it. Good one. Good stuff today.
Not a lot going on in Destiny, but it's still going to be a very exciting couple of weeks as we see how the Sandbox shifts and get ready for whatever they got planned for August 24th.
Random side tangent. Shout out to my boy Randolph, always on last night. Do you know, we know how we sitting here complaining. I'm not complaining, but we'll be like, yo, it's not a lot to do. We did everything we had to do, whatever. I'm looking at most games play. I'm like, how in the hell is Destiny in the top 10 on Xbox Live in most games played with nothing going on? That goes to show you a lot, bro. And I'm like, we're at the end of the season. That's when you're supposed to check out, right? You know, so it goes to show you the casuals are still playing and still catching up. I gotta call my boy Addict out right quick. He's catching up. He's been playing Destiny super casual. He's catching up to the rest of his season pass right now, finishing up. So yeah, I mean, it's a different time. I finally got my GM done. You know, got my Grandmaster. Finally got one under my belt, so I could say I did it. And just working on some stuff. And that's it, man. But very interesting times. At least we got some good info, in reference to the Sandbox and PvP and what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the 24th just seems like more of the bomb possible. So everything is going to be coming on the 24th. I think we were talking about that before we started, because the next one, I literally just tweeted to these guys because I saw DMG said, what about Geomags? And they said, the Armor Twab is next week.
Ooh.
So Geomags, exotics, probably going to fall in there.
Let's go. Exotic armors, let's go.
I was like,
let's see what
I always
they got.
complain about that.
This is going to be probably the most important one, I think.
Yeah. So we will see
Sandbox.
if these two want to do it while I'm gone, or if they want to wait till we come back and do it with our guests.
We're definitely going to do it next
Oh,
week.
okay.
I'm
for
to agree with that way.
Well, then I'll just.
How I love exotic
that's
armor.
fine. So yeah, that's what seems to be on deck. But it is Sandbox for the next 3 weeks, and then on the 24th, just everything else. The story, the new season, which we don't know anything about. That stuff's going to be going on. Jump into the new season, figure out about what's going on there, figure out the tease for Witch Queen. I will be gone next week. Check into these two. Follow Lord Cognito. Follow Travis. They will probably be tweeting where their episode of The Last Word is going to be going on for a little bonus while I'm gone.
Just a little bonus one.
Yeah.
And enjoy your vacation, friend.
And enjoy your vacation, sir.
Thank you. Well, as we
well deserved.
As we kind of wrap up, I'll be working on prepping and packing and getting no sleep. What are you guys going to be doing over the course of the next week or so? Because we're a little earlier towards the weekend, but I mean, you still might have some stuff going and working on. What do you guys got coming up?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's going to be, I want to get that Time Lost Fatebringer. I want to work on that because I believe that's the challenge this week. I need that clan. So I'll get that done. Maybe just finish up my title, and then I'll pretty much be good on Destiny at that point for a while. I got everything I need done. Other than that, just been working on the backlog. Ascent came out, so I want to get that done. I have to turn my PS5. It's been a while. I got to get Final Fantasy VII Interlude done, so I gotta get that. Just like a lot of clean up. And Mass Effect, of course, you damn near passed me now. And two, I got. But I've been doing like every single mission. I've been like the nostalgia. Yeah, like every single one I'm doing. So I've been knocking it. I got the whole crew together. It's just now the loyalty missions, and I think Arrivals. But then people told me I should
Arrival. You should do after. I heard
at the end. That's what they told me. They said wait on Arrival.
Yeah,
so
go back and do
right.
that. Yep.
Yeah, and that's it. What about you, Trav?
I put Mass Effect down. I beat Mass Effect 1, and that took a lot out of me. So I got partway through Mass Effect 2, and then I was like, all right, I just watched my girlfriend play through all 3. I need to take a break. So
if you've seen it, it's pretty fresh.
Yeah, I literally just saw it, and the entire time I was like, wow, I remember way more of this game than I wanted to. Like because there's like no surprises, right? But yeah, I'm playing Death's Door.
Nice.
Nice. I've got that on my list.
Longingly at the Halo Infinite app that I had because I can't play that anymore. Yeah,
Travis,
I didn't even get to touch it.
He is a beast.
Oh, I believe it.
Game.
Yeah, I did pretty good. I got half of the kills our team got in the one of the few matches we got to play. Team of 4. And I think I did like 25.
Heard it was on for like 2 hours.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, it was. I only got 2 matches in, but those were a glorious 2 matches.
Yes.
So yeah, it was. I've been doing that. I'm working on an IGN review for the 17th, but we'll definitely have a show before that. And other than that, I've just been chilling in Destiny, man. I'm playing a little bit every week. I finished my grind for Solstice or the Heroes.
Oh, you did it! Nice.
I did it. I got it, man. I earned that T-shirt. I'm definitely not going to wear because they refused to make ties. Come on, Bungie.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm done with that, and then I'm GMing an RPG this weekend, so I've been spending a lot of time working on my prep work for that. So that's my life right now. But
nice. Besides vacation, anything else you're gonna play up?
I mean, I was like Grime. I was working through. I don't know how long it is, but I mean, when I come back,
I need to play that one.
It's that and Death's Door are both pretty high for me. If I can
Death's
get
Door,
both in before the start of the season, it's like Death's Door's there.
You need to play that.
That one kind of has that dodgy action feel, and Grime is basically a side-scrolling version of the same thing. You've got a dash, you've got progression, you've got different weapons, some stats, and leveling up, and kind of the Souls-like combat. They did a cool thing with the parry in Grime where you parry enough and kind of absorb the enemies, and they did some cool stuff in Grime that I'm kind of digging so far for being. I think it was made by like 2 people. Again, these things where they're made by like tiny teams. I'm always kind of blown away what comes out of those. So that, and then Death's Door, because I'll come back and I'll do epilogue in like an hour. We know that's not going to take long. So when I come back in those kind of 2.5 weeks of downtime ish that I'll have when I come back, well, no, it's like 11 days. Yeah, I'll see how much I get done before then. But yeah, it's on the 24th. So between now and then, we'll see.
Yeah. We got a lot. When you come back to, it's going to be so fun too. We're going to be hitting the ground running. It's going to be a ton of news.
Yeah, you guys will have
start.
epilogue and armor while I'm gone. So you guys will have big stuff there. And then whatever the third one is, and we have Patty Cakes, really cool content creator, streamer. He will be joining us on the 20th for the basically pre-show. And we'll know on that show on the 20th if we're going to have anything at all to tell us what Season 15 is about, but I'm not holding my breath.
No doubt. No, shout out to everybody that pulled up because, again, we didn't really give much notice. This was an on-the-fly decision. It was like 50 plus of y'all in there. And, salute. That's always love to see that people wanted to hear that twab. And, maybe if schedules align, maybe, we'll see how it works in the future.
See how Thursdays work, Yeah,
see how Thursdays work for everybody. But it's on the table. We don't know if it's done, but it's on the table.
But that's about all I got for this one. So thank you, chat. Thank you, everybody, for this random one. You guys be safe out there. Hopefully my travels are as smooth as they possibly can be in this crazy world. But for now, August 5th, thank you guys for episode number 161. But for this one, it has been
the last word.